So thanks for joining. Today we are going to be looking at, the title of this is Delivery of Critical Messages is Best with a Dedicated Transactional Email and SMS. And specifically, we're going to be looking at one of the platforms within the portfolio, which is FlowMailer. And that's a transactional email and SMS tool. Just to introduce myself, my name is Daniel Coates. I work within the professional services team of the SpotlerUK branch of the Spotler Group, and my role is helping customers and helping the clients with meeting their business needs through the use of our tools, and also helping them get on board with the platform and getting the most out of it. So I appreciate not all of you might know much about the Spotler Group. So some of you might be not know much about us. Some of you might be clients, so this might be repeated. But just as a bit of a background, so the Spotler Group have a collection of a bunch of different platforms, all providing a different functionality within the marketing industry. So some key stats you can see there. We've got 4,000 customers across all of our businesses, so that's quite a substantial amount of people using our products. And we've also got an extensive partner network as well. So you can see 400 partners across the group. So 300 employees across each of the different platforms we've got, and that's rapidly growing as we acquire new businesses and such. You've got 6 different territories which we're present in. Most of us is based in Europe, but we do have a presence down in South America as well, so quite widely spread. Last year, we helped our customers facilitate 13 billion emails, which is an astonishing amount going through our platform. We are an ISO certified company, which is good to have, and we offer 6 main advanced marketing solutions. And we'll look into those now. So this is what Spotler Group offers as a whole, those 6 offerings. So at the top left, you can see FlowMailer, which is our transactional email and SMS tool or platform, which we're going to be going into some detail with today. At the top right, you've got Squeezely, which is our CDP, so our customer data platform and our web personalization tool. So all around e-commerce and that kind of world. That works quite well with Supra, which you can see at the bottom right, which is all to do with your search optimization, making sure your customers are seeing exactly what they want and they're not getting frustrated when they're searching and not finding what they're looking for. In the middle right, you've got Spotler Social, which is our publishing engagement and omni-channel messaging tool. So that's essentially bringing in all of your social channels into one platform to manage and use them there. And then the final 2 on the bottom left are Spotler Web Power and Spotler Mail Plus, which are our 2 leading ESPs. So today we're going to be looking at what FlowMailer is. So FlowMailer is a transactional email and SMS platform. Its goal as a platform is to assure your business critical communications, first of all, reach your recipients or your clients, but also reach them in a quick and efficient manner. So a couple of things you can see there, a few clients. These are our long-term big clients that are using the platform, so it's well respected within the industry. So you've got Curry's PC World, they use it. We've got DPD, and then Siemens also use our tool. So this tool is really designed for businesses. If your business goal is to deliver business critical communications, you're going to need a platform that does these 3 things to be successful. So the first one is assurance. So if you've got a dedicated tool which is built all around transactional in mind, then that's going to help you reach that goal. Trust as well. So having transparency with what's going on with your data, and also the deliverability side of it. If you can trust the marketing leading deliverability of the platform, then that's going to help you meet that goal as well. And finally, the confidence. So the confidence will come with the top 2, but the confidence in the platform that it's going to be quick at sending, and also the protected SLAs that the platform offers, ensuring that your data is going to get to your recipients when it should. And a good fact there is, on average, we get 99.8% of emails to the inbox within a second, which is a really quick deliverability rate, and exactly what businesses need. So just looking at why it's important to have a dedicated transactional platform, or the benefits of having one. So first of all, it removes the risk of queuing essential emails behind non-essential. Now, what this means is if you've got one platform that's providing your non-essential email marketing or sort of bulk emails to your recipients, and then you've also got sort of it handling the transactional stuff, so maybe the orders, the password resets, all of that kind of thing. You've got a risk there that your marketing ones are going to take priority and go before your essential sort of time critical ones. Having a separate platform removes that risk meaning that you've got one which is focused on your marketing ones, and then you've got one which isn't going to ever have a sort of a queue behind non-essential stuff. Second of all, you've got unnecessary contention of bulk emails versus one-to-one. So it's just cleaner and nicer to have that separation of your bulk emails, which are going out to every user, and then the one-to-ones, which are going to be personalized for that individual recipient. And then the third one, this comes back to having a platform which is dedicated to transactional purposes, and that's the transparency of deliverability auditing. So the whole point of a transactional tool is to make sure those emails, first of all, reach the recipient, but reach them in a good time. Now, an ESP might not necessarily give you all of the information to be able to, or the key information to be able to handle your deliverability, but for a dedicated tool, that's going to give you all of the technical information of why that didn't deliver, what you need to do, and how you can improve your deliverability. And then last of all, that ensures your own service deliverability becomes part of your competitive differentiation. So if you can stand out from your competitors or the sort of businesses within your sector to say your emails get there quicker than theirs do, that's going to make you stand out and make you more appealing to your clients. What you can see here is a look at the customer lifecycle and some examples of how FlowMailer fits into stuff. So FlowMailer isn't just a one use case kind of tool. It can have multiple different use cases across multiple different stages of that customer's journey. So some examples there, you can see password reminders. So this is a key thing people use FlowMailer for. If you're waiting to purchase something or log into your platform, or a user is waiting to log into your platform and they've forgotten their password, you want to make sure you get their password to them or the reset link almost instantaneously, because if they're waiting 5-10 minutes, they might decide to go and do something else, maybe not purchase or fulfill that order that they were going to. Same with multi-factor authentication. No one wants to sit there and wait 5 minutes, maybe sitting behind a marketing email. So the dedicated FlowMailer tool would be able to handle that. To all the way to stuff like confirmation receipts or invoices is able to, FlowMailer can facilitate those. And a couple best practice tips there for your transactional emails is make sure your sort of the style of your email, so your header and footer is always on brand and it has other ways to contact you. So what this means is it kind of leads on to the second point, but providing an omni-channel sort of contact experience for the client. So not just a sort of reply to that email, maybe give them a phone number on there, give them a link to your social accounts, just give them multiple ways to contact you so it doesn't become frustrating if they can't reply to your email. And then the second point there, as you can see, just sort of reiterating that, but always avoid a no reply email address. That isn't something that people like. They don't want to have to go and find the reply email address. So that's always something to look out for. And the third one is use and review your deliverability audit data regularly. What you'll see in a second is when we go through the FlowMailer tool, you'll see how you get a lot of the audit data of when the email was when the email was processed to send, when it reached the inbox. If you're noticing any sort of discrepancies in that or seeing something which you can improve, we always recommend just audit that data and make sure you're doing everything that you can do. It might be keeping on top of your DNS records, it might be checking your email content, just all of that kind of thing. Just make sure you're on top of that. Now we're going to look into the actual platform itself. So hopefully that's switched over. So what you can see here is the actual FlowMailer tool itself. At the moment, we're looking at the main dashboard. So this is the screen that you'll get to when you first log into the platform. And this is going to show you a top level view of how all of your transactional emails are doing. So at the moment, we've got the date range looking at the last month, and you can see a timeline here of how many messages were sort of queued, how many were processed. If there was any failures, you'd be able to see them here. This is just showing data from something that goes out to our internal colleagues each day, but you can see each day you're seeing that, and you can see that they're getting processed well. Just a few more key metrics here. So how many messages have been delivered within that certain time period, the deliverability rate, which is always a key thing to see. So 100%. If you were noticing you're quite low deliverability, that's when you'd start to look at your data and audit what you could possibly do to increase that. And then here, backing out that fact, is the average delivery time of 1 second, and some key metrics as well. The first thing you're going to want to do when you sort of set up the FlowMailer platform, there's two things you need to do before you can start using it. Both are nice and quick and easy for anyone to do. First one is setting up a domain. So sometimes in platforms it can be quite a long process to set up a domain. There's a lot of stuff that needs doing, sort of back and forth. FlowMailer makes that very, very simple to do. All you need to do is create a new domain here. This could be, let's just call it test.spotler.com. So enter the domain that you want to add into the platform. This would be the domain that your emails are coming from. So it might be a subdomain, it might be a cousin domain, whatever you would like for your emails. You need to choose a return path domain. At the moment, we can just leave that as E, that's not a problem. That's added the domain into the system, and what you can see here is what you need to do in order to get that domain working and ready to be used. So the essential DNS records, you can see them here. You've got a DMARC record if that doesn't exist on your domain, and then also any SPF records, which again is just something to increase your deliverability. What's good about this tool is how easy it is to, first of all, just do what we did there, but also that you've got sort of a cross or a tick here, depending whether that DNS record is correct, if it's on the domain and it's propagated successfully, meaning that your deliverability is going to be as it should be. If you were then to go and add these DNS records on, you've got the option down here to validate. This will go and dynamically check that domain, make sure the DNS record's there. So if you did put it on there and it propagated, you would then get a tick. Once everything's ticked, then you can start using that domain. The other thing you need to set up, so you've got the domain linked to the platform, so you've got somewhere to send your emails from. The other thing is, how are you going to trigger the emails to go from? So this might be connected to your internal system, it might be connected to your website, wherever that's connected to, you need to create what's called a source here. So there's a bunch of different stuff we've got here. If we click create credentials, you need to first of all choose the protocol that you want to integrate to the platform. So most of the time it's going to be either SMTP or API, but you can also choose to use inbox or inbox domain, where we take control of that domain through some DNS records, and you've got SMPP as well. Here we'll just choose API, and you can see how easy it is. You can need to choose a role for this API key. So if you only want it to do certain things, maybe you want one system to have more access to the platform than another, you can play around with the roles there. Provide a description, so demo webinar, and then all we have to do here is create the credentials, and you can see that's instantaneously created you an ID and a secret and an account ID, and those are the three pieces of information which you will then pass through to the API to trigger your emails. So once we've got the domain connected, something to send from, we've got our source and credentials connected, so we now can trigger the emails. We now need to get into the design side of things. So first of all, we're going to look at the templates. So templates are going to be the email content that you want to go out to your users. That might be an order confirmation, it might be a password reset, it might be whatever the sort of the use case you're trying to fulfill. If we click into this one as an example, you can see here you've got sort of an editor here, which we'll click on in a second. Most of the time, this might just be a case of copying the code from your existing system, or the HTML code from wherever that's being generated, and pasting it inside of here. You can then sort of preview that design and edit it in real time. Alternatively, what you can do is add your code in and create the email down here. So you can see here you've got a sort of WYSIWYG here that you can edit certain stuff, which makes it just a bit more user-friendly. So once we've got the template created and that's in the platform, you can have as many templates as you want to serve your different functions. You then need to create what's called a flow. So this is where, hence the name FlowMailer. This is deciding what flow or what steps are going to be followed when you trigger the email, from the point you trigger the email to the point that it reached that recipient's inbox. So if we create a flow, just as an example here, you need to provide it a description. So this will be what this flow is to do. So it might be a order confirmation email. You need to choose the source. So you might have different systems linked up to this. You might have your website, you might have a back-end system, you might have another brand's website. You need to then say what source can trigger this flow. So if you've got two different systems, you might have an order confirmation for each of them, so they don't you don't accidentally send one to the other system. You've then got down here a timeline here. So this is when the email is triggered on the left-hand side, all the way down to when it reaches that user's inbox. The first thing you're going to want to do is choose the template that you want to send to them. So when the email is triggered, what content are we going to send? We're going to send the B2B invoice here. What you've then got on the right-hand side is a whole range of stuff that you can do. You might want to maybe add an attachment. If it's an order confirmation, it might be an order confirmation in form of a PDF. So if that's sent via the API, as an attachment for this, if this is here inside the step, that will take that attachment from the API sort of request, and it will put it into the email that's sent to the user. You might want to BCC maybe your marketing or your sales team in. There's a whole bunch of stuff you want to do here. If you want to do open and click tracking, you need to drag that on. What that will do is it will put a pixel on the email. If the recipient opens it, you're going to get that data back into FlowMailer and see that they definitely opened that email. You can do some sort of more technical stuff as well if you wanted to set the header of it as well. So a certain reply to address or whatever email headers allow you to do, you can also do that. So it's fairly flexible in terms of that. So once you've created that, that's just going to create a flow, and then this is the timeline that it will follow. So it will sort of add the template, it will add an attachment, and it will open track for this one. It will do all of those, and then it will fire it off to the recipient, depending on what you said within the API or the source request. Once you've done the flow and it's created, what you're then going to have access to is a whole bunch of reporting metrics. So the main one you're probably going to look at here is if we go to the flow, for each of the flows that you create within the design stage, you're going to get that replicated within the reporting stage. This is one that we've got going out to everyone, so this will have some good data in just to show you. If we click into this, you're going to see for each of these flows how well it's performing. So a timeline here, which at the moment is just looking at the previous day. You can see when all of those messages go out. So maybe you had a high traffic period. You can see how many are delivered. If you've got open tracking and click tracking, you're going to be able to see how many of those people opened the email, how many clicked it, and then a summary here. So this morning we had 16, 15 were sent, 15 were delivered, and 2 people have opened that. If there was any bounces in your emails, so maybe that's a soft bounce or a hard bounce, you're going to be able to see the reason here and the technical reason behind it. And if click tracking was in your email and you had a bunch of sort of links to your website or your social profiles, whatever that might be, you're going to be able to see the links here and who clicked those. Down the bottom is a timeline of all of the messages that have gone through this particular flow. So when they were submitted, sort of what source they came from. So if this flow is allowing multiple sources, you can see which source it came from, the flow that was there, whether it was email or whether it was SMS, who it was sent from, and the recipient, and obviously the subject and the status of that. If I click into this, what you're able to see is a bit more of the technical information behind this particular email. You can see stuff like the headers that were sent with the email and sort of the headers that were received from the mail server as well. You can see when it was submitted. So here it was submitted via sort of an API application that we've got. It was starting processing at sort of 16 seconds past, and it was sent and delivered to the mailbox. This time within 3 seconds. It's usually quicker than that, but you can see all of the technical details behind that. You've also got a bunch of other reporting as well. So not just on the flows, you can also do it on sources. So if you had multiple different sources, you're able to report on the source as a whole. So maybe that source is linked to multiple different flows and you want to see how well a particular site or a particular function on your website is performing. You can have exactly the same level of reporting that you just saw on the flows, but instead it's on the sources as well. And a bunch of other stuff as well. So if there were certain emails that were undelivered for whatever reason, so here this was rejected. This is obviously not a real domain. something we were doing for testing. And if we click into this, you can see why it was rejected. It received a harms bounce, domain unknown. So this is the data you might not necessarily get as much detail in a standard ESP, and this is why a transactional sort of tool is key for this functionality. That is everything within FlowMailer that we were going to show today. So I just want to say thanks for attending, and if you do have any questions or want to reach out to any of us to get more detail or to set up a trial for you to start using and testing the platform, we're more than happy to do that. I'd reach out to your account manager if you're an existing client, or reach out to either myself or sales, and we can get you a trial set up if you're not one of our current clients.